I was telling everybody for the last 10 days or so that Sarah Palin and Karl Rove are going to war. So basically, Rove represents the GOP establishment and the money interest. He's the one that raised, well over $50 million in these campaign races to run against Democrats. And then Sarah Palin represents basically the populist wing of the Republican Party. And it's interesting to see how it's going to shape out. And I wanted to see what sides people were going to take. And right now, the early results are in, and people are lining up on Karl Rove's side.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, come on, Cenk, Sarah Palin, regardless of what your political ideologies are, Sarah Palin is such a joke. How can anyone ever take her side on anything? But wait a minute, that's never stopped the Republicans before. I mean, George W. Bush was a giant joke. No. But look, he was a joke. I agree with that. But if you were to compare the two, Sarah Palin is by far a bigger joke. I mean, she's a reality show at this point. Come on.
Who cares? It doesn't matter because conceptually, they don't care how stupid the person is. Mm-hmm. So it's not like she went beyond the threshold where they're like, okay, that's just too stupid, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, look, they've never had a problem with empty vessels before. I mean, it's been their entire history for the last 30 years. So that's not the issue. The issue is somehow, in my opinion, the people with money must be a little worried about Sarah Palin for some reason. Otherwise, why unnecessarily start a civil war when she seems to be a good spokesperson for you, riling up the masses? They're putting knives in her in ways that I'm surprised by. Mm-hmm. So let me tell you who's now the latest couple of people to come out against her. First of all, Peggy Noonan, former Reagan speechwriter, called her a nincompoop and, just insulted her in every imaginable way, including definitely her intelligence and her qualifications. Mm-hmm. Now, Peggy Noonan's never really liked Sarah Palin, so that wasn't surprising. But then this is really strong. Representative Spencer Backus is a Republican from Alabama, and he is likely to become the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee. Mm-hmm. So, we're talking about serious money here. He's going to be controlling the Financial Committee. A lot of donors care a lot about what Representative Backus thinks. And he said about Sarah Palin, quote, the Senate would be Republican today, except for states in which basically Palin endorsed candidates like Christine O'Donnell in Delaware. And he said, quote, Sarah Palin cost us control of the Senate.
Wow.
That's a pretty harsh assessment. So here they go. They're coming for her. And that's a fascinating development.
That is a fascinating development. But do you think that there's any truth behind what he says?
Oh, yeah, of course. But it's interesting that they're picking Sarah Palin to attack because you're right. Of course, Christine O'Donnell did cost them Delaware. There's no question. And very likely Ken Buck cost them Colorado and Sharon Angle cost them Nevada. And if it wasn't for that, they would have the Senate. They wouldn't have necessarily absolutely won in those states. Mm-hmm. But, God, they had such a big lead in Nevada and in Delaware. And, with a decent candidate in Colorado, knocking off Michael Bennet wouldn't have been that tough. So they're mad, right? And I get why. But they're not attacking Jim DeMint, who is actually the real player behind all this, the Republican senator from South Carolina. Mm-hmm. They're not attacking a lot of the other Tea Party organizers like Dick Armey. So it's curious that they've decided that Sarah Palin is the one that's got to go down. Now, and when she fights back, who's going to rally to her side? And this is the key part. Because in the past, Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh have had Sarah Palin's back, and they criticized Karl Rove. If they make the switch and all of a sudden they start saying things against Palin, that means she's done. Stick a fork in her. But which way are those guys going to go? Because if they stay on Palin's side, then we got a real war.